Welcome back, Planeswalkers, to Brew Preview. It's Steve for Collector Mania, and we're continuing on here with Aryel, Knight of Windgrace. So we've got a 2-colorless white-black human knight, Vigilance, 4/4, that has 2 activated abilities. So first one is 2 colorless and a white and tap, create a 2/2 white knight creature token with Vigilance, really cool. Then we've got pay 1 black and tap X untap knights you control, destroy target creature with power X or less. So pretty spicy as far as abilities here. I definitely see this as a really strong tribal commander. So breaking into our creatures here, we got Quindi Pride Ephemera. So 3 colors and a white, legendary creature, human knight, double strike, and also has creatures you control with first strike have double strike, and is also a 2/2. So pretty powerful considering that a lot of our knights have the keyword of first strike. So a definite auto include in the deck in my opinion. Then we've got Dauntless Bodyguard. This is a 1-cost 2/1 human knight. As Dauntless Bodyguard enters the battlefield, choose another creature you control. Sacrifice Dauntless Bodyguard. The chosen creature gains indestructible until end of turn. So just another way to protect your commander later in the game. Also just another way to protect creatures that you want to keep alive in the early game. Next up we've got Knight of Grace. So a colorless and a white human knight, first strike. Hexproof from black, which is pretty interesting. I'm guessing this is the way that they're going to word hexproof for a little while as far as like this set goes. This creature can't be the target of black spells or abilities your opponents control, so interesting. Knight of Grace gets +1/+0 as long as any player controls a black permanent. Any player does refer to us as well, so of course we will be active, we'll have that 3/2 essentially. And then we've got the Knight of Malice, which is basically the reflection of the knight we just talked about. So 1 colorless and a black, 2/2, first strike, hexproof from white, and then gets +1/+0 as long as any player controls a white permanent. And now I believe, oh no, we got one more. Benelish Marshal. So a 3 white, so kind of hard to cast, but pretty cool. It's basically an anthem on a guy, so other creatures you control get +1/+1, and is also a 3/3 itself. Breaking into the knights that we've had for a while, this is probably one of the best and most notable. So Knight Exemplar. So we got a colorless 2 white human knight, first strike, so one of those knights I was talking about with those keywords. Then it has other knight creatures you control get +1/+1 and are indestructible. So imagine just slapping some Greaves on this or a Darksteel Plate and then yeah, just going to town. Then we've got a Kinsbale Cavalier. So 3 colors and a white, Kithkin Knight, interesting creature type. Knight creatures you control have double strike, so another way to just give your entire team double strike. Then Myrin Crusader, we all know what this guy does. Double strike protection from black and green, just amazing. Absolutely ridiculous. You can usually kill several players with this guy. Just start equipping him with some stuff and just swinging away. And of course Syllabi Paladin. This is probably one of the favorite and most notable knights of anybody that started playing in the Innistrad era. Basically you just throw this guy, soul bond him with anybody and it turns them into a monster. And then we've got Patriarch Paladin. This is actually one of my favorites from way back in the day. So 2 colors, 3 white, so once again a little hard to cast. It's got flanking, which is really interesting. That'll confuse some of your opponents. And then as he enters the battlefield, you choose a color, so that's totally up to you. And then it has double white, tap, destroy target permanent of a chosen color. Really, really powerful. And then we've got Hero of Bladehold. So Battle Cry is definitely a thing. Something that I've always loved doing to my opponents is just battle crying and then just messing up the combat math for everyone, because now they've got to figure out that +1/+0 for everybody. Just a great anthem effect. Yeah, it does make 2 1/1 white soldiers, which is a little bit off theme, but oh well. More guys is more guys. Then we've got a Cavalry Vindicator. So 3 colors and a white human knight. It's got level up, so this is a anthem on a guy again that has level up. So level 2 through 4 other creatures you control get +1/+1, and then 5+ other creatures you control get +2/+2. So just an interesting way to kind of buff your team. And then we've got a Rift Marked Knight. So 1 colorless, 2 white, protection from black. And then it's got Suspend, which is pretty cool. Suspend for a colorless and 2 white, and then when the last time counter is removed from Rift Marked Knight, while it's removed from the game, put a 2/2 black knight creature token with flanking, protection from white, and haste into play. So pretty cool, gives you essentially 2 guys. And then Blood-Crazed Paladin. This is another new one from Ixalan. So it's a colorless and a black vampire knight. It's got flash, which is amazing. Blood-Crazed Paladin enters the battlefield with a +1/+1 counter for each creature that died this turn, so extremely powerful after a board wipe. I've seen this guy come down and be a 20/20 after some crazy board wipes that, you know, happen in Commander. So yeah, definitely a good recovery card. Now we've got Hakan Stormgald Scourge. So it's a colorless and 2 black. You may play Hakan Stormgald Scourge from your graveyard, but not from anywhere else, so you do have that added clause. As long as he's in play, you may play knight cards from your graveyard, which is really, really powerful. And then when he is put into a graveyard from play, you lose 2 life, so there's a little bit of a downside there. So as far as actually utilizing this guy, things like Buried Alive, Entomb, I mean, there's a ton of effects that'll get this guy there for you, so just think about that. And then we've got Knights of the Black Rose, which is probably one of my favorite ways to get the Monarch. I mean, it's very unassuming. Enters the battlefield and you become the Monarch. Whenever an opponent becomes the Monarch, if you were the Monarch as the turn began, the player loses 2 life, so a little bit of life lost there, and you gain 2 life, so a little bit of life gain. I mean, it's a 5-cost 4/4 that essentially draws you a card at the beginning of your end step, so pretty powerful in my opinion. So then we've got Cavalry Master, so 2 colorless, 2 white. Its human knight has flanking, and then it has an interesting ability that says other creatures you control with flanking have flanking. So it says each instance of flanking triggers separately, so essentially you're getting like double flanking. Nothing we're too worried about. There are a few flanking creatures in here, but not enough to really, you know, make it a thing, but just an interesting include. Now we've got Thalia's Lancers. This card's becoming more and more, I guess, desired. People are trying to pick it up for everything at this point just because of the amount of legendaries that have been spoiled, but I would definitely try and get it for now, especially for something like this. If you're planning on going like Knight Tribal, it's really powerful. It'll find you those legendary creatures that buff your team and whatnot. So 3 colorless, 2 white, first strike. When Thalia's Lancers enters the battlefield, you may search your library for a legendary card, reveal it, put it in your hand, and then shuffle your library. Very powerful. Tutor effect on a creature. And then one of the oldies but goodies, it's the Still Moon Cavalier. So 1, and then a hybrid black or white, and a hybrid black or white. It's got protection from black and white. It's got 3 activated abilities. The first one is hybrid mana, black or white. Still Moon Cavalier gains flying until end of turn, which is really important. And then hybrid black or white, Still Moon Cavalier gains first strike until end of turn, which is essentially a double strike for us. And then 2 hybrid black or white, Still Moon Cavalier gets +1/+0 until end of turn. I've seen this card just finish games before. I mean, I remember playing against it about 3 or 4 years ago, and it was a real threat. Now, not so much. There's some things that really outclass it, but still pretty cool. And then next up, we've got Gideon's Phalanx. So 5 colorless, 2 white, instant. Put 4 2/2 white knight creature tokens with vigilance onto the battlefield. So really powerful token maker. It has the added benefit of spell mastery. If there are 2 or more instant or sorcery cards in your graveyard, creatures you control gain indestructible until end of turn. So pretty important for those turns where somebody's trying to board wipe you and get rid of all your guys. Also really important for when you're like getting ready to swing out at somebody and they've got a ton of blockers, but you want to make those trades, or not trades in this instance. You just want to get into that combat so they can make bad trades, really. And then Righteous Confluence. So this is 3 colors, 2 white, choose 3. You may choose the same mode more than once, which is really cool. First mode is create a 2/2 white knight creature token with vigilance, so exactly what we want. Second mode, exile target enchantment. Third mode, you gain 5 life. So I could definitely see creating 2 knights and then exiling an enchantment, or any number of modes here that would work great for us. And then getting into a little bit more tribal stuff, we've got an Heirloom Blade. So 3 colorless, it's an artifact equipment. What's a knight without their sword, really? Whenever equipped creature dies, you may reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal a creature card that shares a creature type with it. Put that card into your hand and the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. So it's basically just recycling your dead creature into a brand new creature. So even if you're just using it as sack fodder, or if you're just using it to block something, at least you're getting something out of it. And then also the power buff here, +3/+1, is actually pretty good, especially when we're talking about double striking or first striking knights. Then I've got a Stoneforge Masterwork, so 1 colorless, and then 2 to equip. Equipped creature gets +1/+1 for each other creature you control that shares a creature type with it. So with some of the buffs that we're getting here, I could definitely see this thing becoming a monster with double strike and all kinds of other abilities, and +1/+1 for each token that you've made with your commander. And then Herald's Horn. So 3 colorless, as Herald's Horn enters the battlefield, choose a creature type, of course knights for us. Creature spells of the chosen type costs 1 colorless less, so really good. At the beginning of your upkeep, look at the top card of your library. If it's a creature card of the chosen type, you may reveal it and put it in your hand. So very, very powerful. Love this card. And then, of course, a knight with a sword needs armor. So Darksteel Plate, 3 colorless. Darksteel Plate is indestructible. Equipped creature is indestructible. Equip 2. Of course, you can go super, super heavy on the equipment. I mean, that's totally on theme, and that's probably what I would do if I was building this deck, and just run as many as you can. I only really brought up a couple here just because I didn't want to get into all the swords and blah, 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 you know, all that stuff. But yeah, I would definitely, you know, go that route and just make it super, super Vorthos themey. And then, of course, Vanquisher's Banner. This is an auto-include as well. So 5 colorless, enters the battlefield, choose Knight. Creatures control the chosen type get +1/+1. Whenever you cast a creature spell of the chosen type, draw a card. So really great card draw engine, especially in these 2 colors. You know, black, white can be a little bit tricky sometimes. The black will definitely draw you a lot of cards, but you'll lose a lot of life doing it. So having something like this is a huge benefit. And then I really noticed putting this list together that a lot of knights are actually double white, double black, or triple white, triple black. So having things like Chromatic Lantern to help you smooth out that mana is definitely important. You know, I'd have this and probably several other rocks that do both. You know, Darksteel Ingot's one that comes to my mind, but that would really help you out. And then, of course, for those instances where you do have some non-knight creatures, we've got things like Mirror Entity that just turn everything into a knight and then give them a power buff. So all of a sudden your little soldiers get knighted and grow up a little bit, and now they're double striking and all of these other abilities and really kicking butt. And then we are talking tokens here, so Anointed Procession. This is a really powerful card. I'm really happy they printed it. White needed an effect like this. Green's always had them, so this is nice to have. So 3 colors and a white. If an effect would create 1 or more tokens under your control, creates twice that many tokens instead. So an auto include with our commander, especially since we're making so many tokens, and then there are a ton of also token makers that we've seen already in addition. And then if we're making tokens, we might as well have Cavalry Crusade. I mean, these guys are basically, they're knights, I would assume. Whenever a creature enters the battlefield under your control, put a 1/1 counter on each creature you control. So that just makes our army even more ridiculous. And then, of course, Gideon, Ally of Zendikar. So this is 2 colors, 2 white, +1 until in turn it becomes a 5/5 human soldier with all of his regular abilities. And then 0, which is what we're really after, put a 2/2 white knight ally creature token on the battlefield. So really, really powerful. And of course, the emblem is what everybody loves about this guy, and I 100% agree. So -4, you get an emblem with creatures you control get +1/+1. So another great anthem effect. A little rough paying 4 for something like that, so you might want to plus him once and then minus him and then do all kinds of other crazy stuff, but that's only if you can really protect him. Okay, so going past that, we've got a few other things that I kind of wanted to touch on here. So just because we've built this crazy knight deck and it's awesome in black-white, doesn't mean that we can't look to the horizon and expand our borders here, essentially. So we've got Queen Marchesa. So this is probably the way I would go for night travel. I know her herself is not a knight, but it just adds that extra bit of flavor that you kind of need, in my opinion. So a colorless, you know, Mardu, of course. She's got Death Touch and Haste. Enters the battlefield, you become the monarch, so you get to draw cards at the beginning of your end step. Also, at the beginning of your upkeep, if an opponent is the monarch, create a 1/1 black assassin creature token with Death Touch and Haste. So definitely works in our favor there. But let's take a look at a few of the things that I kind of want to add this in for. So first up, we've got Audrianna, Captain of the Guard. So this is a 3 colorless red-white human knight, 4/4. It's got melee, which is whenever this creature attacks, it gets +1/+1 until end of turn for each opponent you attacked with a creature of this combat. So, wow. It also has other creatures you control have melee. So, this just turns combat math on its head, and you come out ahead all the time. Just all this power flying all over the place. Even past that, we've got things like Olivia, Mobilized for War, that we can add in here. Like if you want to do like a vampire sub-theme, because there are a ton of crossover there with vampires and knights, so that's really powerful as well. And then we've got one of my favorite cards of all time, and that's Hero of Oxide Ridge. So 2 colors, 2 red, human knight, haste, battle cry, which, like I said, is one of my favorite keywords there. Whenever Hero of Oxide Ridge attacks, creatures with power 1 or less can't block this turn, so get out of here, sapling tokens or whatever we're fighting against. Doesn't even matter. So past that, we can actually kind of start looking into a few other color combinations. So white-green's a great one too. Sidar, of course, you can pair this guy with pretty much anyone. My personal favorite choice here is Ravo, Soul Tender, so that way you get your knights back. Plus it's right in your colors, so you're basically playing junk at that point. Or we could just go full 5 color here with Corona, False God. So we've got one colorless in all 5 colors. It has haste, it's a 5/5. At the beginning of each player's upkeep, that player untaps Corona the False God and gains control of it, so a little bit of a downside there. Whenever Corona attacks, creatures of the chosen type of your choice get +3/+3 until end of turn. So, I mean, really, you just play this guy, and you're probably just going to swing with it once, and then just finish the game there. So anyway, that is our brew preview for Aryel, Knight of Windgrace. So I hope you guys enjoy, and look forward to the next brew preview.